What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 51 here on the Heat Ratio Sports Network of Philly. 4 for 4 and so much more. It's fourth and go here. Dave Gleckner, Marc Thomasini, as we're coming to you live the Wednesday after a disappointing Super Bowl. But we'll get into all that. Talk a little bit about the Sixers who are rolling into the All-Star break. Nestled right in there at third in the Eastern Conference, coming off a win tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then we'll talk Phillies as spring training is starting to get hot and heavy with pitchers and catchers reporting in one of the best phrases in all of sports when you can say it that fast. But once again, I'm Dave. This is Mark. What's up, buddy?
What up? What up? Yeah, it is a winning Wednesday, but I said it in a tweet that I put out tonight for our show. Not the one we wanted. I would have gladly taken a couple Sixers losses for what we dealt with on Sunday night. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better game, but I know we're gonna get into it. But just the situation, and it's tough. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little pissed off right now. I should either be prepping my game plan for tomorrow in the streets of Philadelphia. I should be, texting with my friends, or I should be in bed, passed out for the last, I don't know, 3-4 hours, maybe 5 hours from being so drunk from and wiped from being at the parade. But instead, I digress. We're here. No offense, Dave, but I'd rather be celebrating a parade today. But obviously, that's not the case.
Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs had their parade today. I haven't watched 2 seconds of it, but I do know it did happen. And let me start off by saying this. I am not bitter at the Kansas City Chiefs. They are an excellent team. Patrick Mahomes is a wonderful quarterback. Andy Reid's a great coach, and with all that, I tip my cap. They're deserving champions, but we had it. Up 10 at halftime, and even up 10 at halftime by giving away 4 points late in the half on Devontae Smith catch. I think was a catch that turned into a field goal by fumbling away a touchdown that gave the Chiefs 7 points. It could have even been more than that. But the disappointing point, obviously, was the second half and the way the defense just crumbled under the pressure of the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And in the end, I mean, the guy threw for under 200 yards, but we never even really gave him a threat or even a show of stopping them, except for the holding call late in the game. But with that said, my takeaway of this, a guy came into my office today and said, "You can't blame it on the holding call." No, not at all. I'm not there.
No.
I will tell you, that's an awful call, one of the worst in NFL history in that scenario. But they didn't lose the game because of one holding call.
Right.
They got the game taken away from them, which is two different things. They lost the game because this team didn't do a couple little things, jumping, false starting on, a third and inches, and just, the fumble I talked about, but then the lack of pressure and the man-to-man defense, leaving Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney so wide open inside the 4. Even the man-to-man covers on Kelsey. Like, what the hell were they doing? Darius Slay, like, that's where we got beat. It was a sad job by Jonathan Gannon and that whole defensive team.
Yeah, it was a tough one. You really nailed it. All the things that happened. It's the little things because they really, like you said, besides the false start, and then obviously the false start leads to the fumble recovery touchdown. And
that's it.
Here's the thing. You talk about the Kadarius Toney and the Sky Moore touchdowns. All right, you give up the one to Kadarius Toney, great. But then you do it, but then it happens again the next drive with Sky Moore. And the thing is, this happened before. This happened in the Hurricane game against the Jaguars in October. Jaguars ran the same play about the same part of the field, and the Eagles, I don't know if it was Zay Jones or if it was Christian Kirk, but I think one of them scored the touchdown same exact way, and they kind of brought that here. So you saw that play happen twice before, and then you let it up again. Now, there were other extenuating factors, obviously, outside the hold. There was the field conditions. Field conditions were pretty bad. Like, people were sliding all over the place. Again, you can't blame it because they let off the gas. They took their foot off the gas in the second half. They were sloppy. They didn't take chances. Poor coverage. It was just so frustrating to say. I'm not going to lie. I saw at halftime, Schefter, like I still had Schefter's notifications on, and he tweeted out or he retweeted out like ESPN PRs, teams up by 10 or more at the half are 26-1. I saw
Mhm.
that. I said we're doomed. I said we're doomed.
Yeah, and even AJ Brown brought it up, I think yesterday. He said when we kicked the field goal to only go up 27-21, he's like, "Ooh, I got a bad feeling about this." Then the Chiefs go down 28-27. Then
I,
we go 3 and out and the bad punt. And it's when we're trading field goals, and I mean for touchdowns, it's not a good proposition for sure.
wait. I'm trying to think for that field goal. Where were we at on the field, and what was
Oh,
our
we
down and
did one of those
distances?
underneath routes to Kenneth Gainwell again. I think it
Right.
was for 3 or 4 yards. We were about the 18, 19. I think I remember 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, and we throw underneath and um
So
didn't
we
get
saw
aggressive.
like a 4th and 4, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
About okay. Yeah, because
Yep.
I was gonna say, because that's the thing. So I remember was it in the first half? Yeah, it was in the first half where the Chiefs kicked the field goal and they missed.
Yep.
At that point, the commentators made the point like Andy Reid's going for kicking a field goal where the Eagles are being aggressive and they're going for it on 4th down. Again, you don't love to do that, but at the same time in the Super Bowl, like that's what Doug did too. Like when you didn't need to go for the 4th down, you go for the 4th down, you keep the aggression going.
Yeah.
So I think that highlights kind of
But
where they
but it's
got.
hindsight, right? Like going up
This
6,
time, oh, of course.
I had no problem going up 6. It's just the fact of the matter is the defense didn't, like, you have to trust
Yeah,
the defense and
yeah.
they didn't get it done. I mean, there was some big stuff early in the game too. I didn't like the offensive pass interference call that gave us our one early punt as well. I think that took us out of the game. They were just little things, but in the end, couldn't stop them. They were better, and they did it all playoffs. They snuck a game out against the Bengals. They snuck a game out against the Jaguars because T.
Yep.
Law throws an interception late, and this is where we're at. And the Chiefs were better for
Andy
60
Reid adjusted.
minutes.
Andy Reid adjusted in the second half. They changed
Yeah,
the way that they played the game. That's what happened. And the Eagles
yeah.
didn't. The Eagles just watched.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe they didn't adjust on defense. I got you, but offense was still cooking. I mean, okay, yeah, we only had 11 points in the second half, but I
Right.
mean, scored on 1 of 3 drives. They scored on all 4. Like, yeah, I mean that's just what's hard. We didn't have the ball as much as in the first half we dominated time of possession.
Right.
We didn't in the second half. A lot of I can't take anything away from the offense, and that's one thing I did want to
I'm
highlight.
not either. I'm just saying the adjustments that were meant to be made, the Chiefs made them. The Eagles didn't adjust their defense. I'll say that. We could have done a little more on offense, but I don't blame Jalen. That's bottom line. And I'm sitting here and I was like, one of the fears that I did have in my head if we lost, that you and I we're in on Jalen. We
Yeah.
believed we put stock in. And I know I can't take that back now, and I'm not going to. But one of the fears was if they just have a bad game in the Super Bowl and Jalen just has a bad game, like what that does, how you feel about him going forward. I couldn't put anything. I mean, even the fumble was just like a fluke play because it literally was his exchanging from left hand to right hand. It was just a botched play. I think he wasn't in the mindset. He played a great game. He really, and even some Chiefs players have said he probably still should have been the MVP of the game.
Oh yeah, that no doubt. But they just give it to the winning quarterback, so
Of course.
it doesn't matter if they earned it or not. Even though Mahomes was great, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
no, there's no doubt with Jalen Hurts, and he's fantastic. And the best part about what I saw in the Super Bowl from him is that there's many cases when we walked out of the last Super Bowl. It was, is Foles or Wentz our quarterback? And we had some really good debates about it, and we didn't know which way to go. But it all settled out, and it was Wentz. There's no doubting who the Eagles quarterback is. And then from that perspective, there's no doubting that this guy will this team back there at least once more in his career, if not next year. So he has, barring anything crazy, he has the winning attitude, mentality, and the skills at a quarterback position, the most important position in probably all of sports. And we got him.
Yeah.
I can never say that about McNabb. I could never say that about Cunningham, and I couldn't say that, about Wentz. I can say about Hurts. I have full confidence this team behind him can get back to that point, and this can actually propel them. This type of loss and this type of scenario. Now, granted, you want to win. You want to come out of that thing. You were up 10, and you had a chance to win if you near the end of the game, maybe getting the ball back. But there's no question that this team can get back, and a lot of it revolves right around number one.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot to it. Then there's also going to be, I mean, this is good because it's a learning experience, hopefully. And I know of all people, he is going to take it with him. He is not going to just flush this one, as he said. And it's not on his doing, but just like being so close. I think he's only going to work harder. Issue is, I know we're going to get to it. And it's really looking like things are starting to, everything's coming apart, but there's going to be a lot of departures. We've already lost both our coordinators. Going to have a lot of departures, and they're going to have to find a way to make up for everything that they're going to go through. Because, I mean, I think they'll be able to take care of some things. They're lucky they have 2 first-round picks. They have picks in the draft, but I mean, they really have to hit. This team is going to look a lot different next year, whether you like it or not. That offense should be pretty much the same. I think Sayamalu may be gone. Besides that, and if Jason Kelce leaves, all right, you got Cam Jurgens at center. It's the defense is going to look entirely different.
No, it's true. Well, the defense will look different because I don't know what they'll do with Graham and Cox, but in the same aspect, you got a lot of nice pieces that are coming up behind them. So same, linebacker, we're probably going to see more in the Kobe Dean next year.
Right.
CJ Gardner-Johnson's the one I probably would hold on. Like, I think we lose Bradbury.
Yeah.
And I think we lose, on the other side, Miles Sanders. But out of the big 3 of those, CJ's the one I think they'll probably try and hold on to. So if you can hold on to him, and you can probably find, depending what they want to do at 10. I mean, you got, Joey Porter Jr., cornerback that could be there that they could really like. But you could also go DN. So whatever they lose, I think they're going to be a fill in from number 10. But you're right, it will look a little different, but a lot of it will look different because no more Gannon.
Well, remember, not even that. There's going to be other key pieces that, could be on their way out. Javon Hargrave, I think that is a big loss. He's been big on the interior. I think way out. Both TJ Edwards and Kazir White are both free agents. Do they try and bring one of them back? I don't think they bring both back. Like you said, Nakobe Dean definitely takes that step up. Marcus Epps, he's going to be a free agent. It's going to be hard to keep Bradbury, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and Marcus Epps. Marcus Epps was a pretty solid safety for them this year. I mean, I know you got Reed Blankenship, but it's like, do you really want to put all your stock in that? So there is a lot that needs to be looked at. And Slay is getting a year older. I really think if they have an opportunity at a cornerback at 10, I think that's probably the route they should go. There's also, I think, the kid from Oregon. He's another one. And I think there's a kid from Illinois too. That might be there, obviously, for the taking. We'll see what happens. But, cornerback might really have to be somewhere where they go. But, yeah, a lot of big questions.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm not saying we know the answers or we'll figure out the answers, but this soon. But the NFL free agency will be fast and furious. But let's talk about, as we move on and kind of cleanse our souls from that game this weekend and look at what just happened in the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm surprised. This happened after the 2018 Super Bowl as well, when we did lose Frank Reich that year and lost what was his name? The quarterback coach went out with him too.
Oh,
now he's hardly in the league, but I mean he's somewhere, but he's not a hot name anymore.
He was either the Jets or he went to the Jets or the Vikings, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know.
But so we had a little bit. Of
thinking he was the one that was that made
DeFilippo. Yep.
Yeah, he's not now.
But there was a coaching kind of change, and I thought that really, to be honest with you, I thought the Eagles had a nice 2018 season as well, and almost beat the Saints in that second round with Foles again, right? And, had that, but I think the loss of those coaches really did, hamper them early in the year. And then Peterson didn't have the continuity that he would have liked to have. And I don't think he had the power to hire the guys that he wanted as well, which was a big concern as he moved out and transitioned out here. So Shane Steichen going to the Colts, not too surprised. I'll say it from this perspective. It's like the Eagles and Colts just trade guys each year.
Yeah.
Obviously they took Reich after our Super Bowl. We took Sirianni recently, and now they're taking back Steichen. So it's been kind of somewhat of a of trading places between Indianapolis and Philadelphia, and that's fine. But then Gannon getting the job in Arizona really surprised me, and it's from this perspective. Yes, he had the 15th ranked defense 2 years ago. Now he has the second ranked. And all the numbers look good on the surface, but this league is built around offensive coaches. So to see a defensive coach get a job in a place where the biggest challenge is the quarterback, I was very surprised that Gannon got a spot out there, but I will not say I'm going to miss him that much because I really did not like his defense.
No, it's I'm not surprised because last year they were talking about, Gannon really had a big chance of being in line for that for the Texans job. And really the only reason why it fell through was due to the Brian Flores lawsuit and everything like that. And I think they pivoted and they went to Lovie Smith. It was a whole thing. And then, they did what they did this year, which was ridiculous by firing him. But they got the Miko Ryans now. For whatever reason, people like him around the league. And you know what? And I was listening to the radio this morning, and I think there's a lot of people out there who believe he's probably could be a better head coach than he was a defensive coordinator because he's kind of like a Sirianni. The guys love
relationship builder. Yeah.
His scheme fit as a defensive coordinator, though, brutal. It was brutal. We've questioned him so much. And
how can they be that open? Like, how can a guy from 3 yards out have nobody on
play an above average to elite quarterback? They just leave the receivers open. Like, they don't contest anything.
No.
Yeah, and they really did. And whether we like it or not, they really didn't play great quarterbacks this year. Or if they did, they were on the decline, like an Aaron Rodgers. So, we kind of did have, and I'm not going to take anything away from us, but we kind of did have an easy road to get to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Playing the Giants and the 49ers. And I think it's fair to say, as what we are, we saw what happened when a good quarterback, but we didn't even challenge. So, and it's funny because the people out in Arizona are like, oh yeah, Philly didn't want, they let Andy Reid go. They let Doug Peterson go. Now they're letting Jonathan Gann go. Like, they're idiots, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, take a look at the defense.
There's no letting.
A look at the defense. There were reports that the Eagles were trying to hold on to him. But going back to the Steichen point, Steichen is the one who's going to be missed. I was thinking about this morning because I was trying to think about what his record was since he took over play calling, because they started off the year 2-5 last season. And Sirianni said week 8, we turned over to Steichen play calling. I think if I have the numbers right, 23-8 since he took over play calling with Jalen Hurts as the starter.
I believe it.
That's that's going to be,
that's pretty good. But explain to me, how do you think the Eagles were going to hold on to someone at coordinator if he got a head coaching job?
Would say this again?
You said they were trying to hold on to Gannon, and people in the Eagles are stupid for letting him go. He got offered a promotion. Like, how are the Eagles going to hold on to him?
Oh, I didn't understand that. No, that was a report that came out today. I don't understand what they could offer him. Like, you're not going to say, oh, you're going to get the coach, you're going to get the head coaching job in 2 years. Like,
no,
why? I don't understand that. What were they going to say? Like, anyway, I was going to go dirty, but yeah, that's stupid. But I think the Steichen is going to hurt more. The one thing is, it seems like that Brian Johnson, the quarterback coach, obviously him and Jalen Hurts have a good rapport. Seems like he's going to be the guy to fill in for his shoes. The good thing is the continuity there. Hopefully that's what they can get it. And I've, saw some things that he did a really good job in Florida. When Pitts was there, Kyle Trask. So we'll see what happens with that. Defense is going to be interesting. They want to promote from within. Their defensive backs coach, I forget his name. But there also is rumors out there that they're looking at, Vance Joseph or Lovie Smith, because I think the rule of thought might be Gannon might be taking some of his guys over to Arizona with him. The thing is, he just got the job. It was really on the hush hush, but apparently he was the front runner for a long while, but nothing really came of it until after the Super Bowl. Like a couple days before is when they said Cardinals are probably going to reach out to him. So he's still got to assemble a staff. So I think we're not going to know defensive coordinator where we're going to be with that for a couple of days.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. But the big news, I think, also we have to report is Jeff Stoutland got signed up for a longer extension. So they are going to have a big continuity there as keeping their offensive line kind of running game coach there. So um, you know, everybody wants to be a part of you when you have this much success, or wants to try and mimic you, I should say. And the people are plucked from us, and that's okay. And we'll rebuild and get strong. But I think the experiences, my point back to when we lost those pieces after the 18 Super Bowl, and then we eventually lost Peterson, I think those experiences that Roseman and Lurie saw will make us stronger here to keep this team intact. And Sirianni, like you said, is a good builder. So from an NFL perspective, that wraps up the season. But we're going to be quickly here transitioning to the 2023 season. The Raiders have already cut Derek Carr. There's going to be some other pieces that fall quickly after that, as you have to make some moves by today. I think there was a deadline before certain contracts became, bonuses were paid out. So, but we got the real league. I think the new year starts on like March 4th, 5th.
Oh, no, I thought the 15th, but I think that's when like legal tampering begins. But I think you're right. Like the actual,
I think you got this
workout bonuses that are applied and things like that.
Yeah, but it will definitely we're not letting go of the NFL. It is a year-long sport, and we're proud here to have the team that represented us in the Super Bowl and played so valiantly and well. Just didn't get the job done when they needed to, and maybe it'll make them stronger. Hopefully, it will for next season. But talking about that, a team that is looking stronger going into the NBA All-Star break here is the Philadelphia 76ers, coming off a really nice win over the weekend against the Brooklyn Nets. Padded that on with another good win tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then they played it. It wasn't too thrilling of a game, but they played Monday night as well, winning that one. So they're on a nice little roll going into the NBA All-Star break. And one thing that kind of ruffled my feathers last night, Mark, is what's that?
You go ahead. My feathers were ruffled tonight, so you go ahead.
Okay, mine was last night. I'm watching. Who exactly was the game? Was it Portland playing? It'll come back to me. No, it was Golden State last night. That's right. Golden State was playing last night, and they had a game. I think Reggie Miller was doing it, and all he kept talking about was Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh, the team in the East nobody wants to play. I can easily see them being in the 3 seed, maybe 1 or 2. Nobody wants to play them. It's definitely Milwaukee, Boston, and Cleveland. And he just passed over Philly in every breath, and I'm 1,000% sure some of that caught wind of the team tonight, because the Sixers came out strong, and we're up around 25 at half.
Yeah,
and this young team that everybody's up in arms about, that there's still another team to contend with and should be considered in the big three, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers. So what caught your attention tonight?
Without a doubt. So I was watching the game tonight, and they started out strong. They were on top of it. Like you said, they were up about 25 at halftime. But we're Sixers fans, and under Doc Rivers and even under Brett Brown, you know what happens in the third quarter. You know what happens in the fourth quarter. The lead dwindled away. Yep. It was as close as 4 at the very end. Now I know there's defense gets a little tighter and foul, but this is going to be the ultimate Achilles heel of Doc Rivers. They just can never close out a game without any issues. They get sloppy. There was a transition back and forth. I think it was late third, early fourth. Both teams were just sloppy as can be. At one point, I think this is around the time that Cleveland actually went on I want to say 18-6 run. And I'm just looking at it like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way that they can lose this game. Not that there's no way, because they absolutely could.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of good things I saw, but at the same time, in the third quarter, they just lulled themselves out of games. Embiid's just trying to do too much down low, trying to take on 4 guys at once. awful passes, cross court passes that are just look like they're going to fly out of bounds, and the guys got to jump up, and then the defenders are just able to clamp down. And that's what really frustrated me tonight, is that the game was closer than it should have been because the way they started off the game. Like, I get it. Like a team as good as Cleveland is, I think Cleveland's good. I don't think they're what Reggie Miller was saying last night on the broadcast, according to you. But, and I know you agree, they are a very good team.
Yeah.
But they're not better than us. And we definitely are a more complete team. We have more continuity. I think they're going to be a team that maybe a year or two, they're really contending if they got everything right. They have a lot of really good young players.
They do.
But tonight was frustrating just that they let them back in so easily.
So here's my problem with Cleveland. And I think they have some star power, which is awesome. They have some youth that's awesome. I think Mobley's great. Jared Allen's nice. Garland, obviously, and the star power of Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. But when you look at their bench tonight, they shot 4 for, what's that, 13 and scored, 12 points. Bench scored 12 points. Our bench, Tyrese Maxey alone had 16, but our bench was able to chip in with 30. So when we outscore them 30-12 from a bench perspective, which is sometimes considered one of our weaknesses,
right?
Outscoring them by 18 from the bench and winning by 6, I think you can say that I think it's going to be tough for them in the playoffs with the lack of depth that they have. So they're good. They're good, and they're good from a starting perspective. Yeah. But they lack some experience and they lack some depth. And where the Sixers, I mean, the addition, of Jaden McDaniels, I think is nice for the team right now. He's a little bit more versatile from a scoring perspective than Matisse is. Matisse had a nice start the other night. Last night, he shit the bed. Let's just say it right. He scored 2 points. So Matisse goes for 12. Everybody's like, oh, he was misused. Look how good he is, and he goes for 2 points last night against Washington in a starting role. So he's still work in progress. And here's the thing: I think Matisse will be decent somewhere, and it might be Portland. That's where obviously played in Washington, but he was a free agent. We weren't going to be able to match any deals anybody gave them. So getting McDaniels, I think you got 1 extra year. I think his rookie year was 1 year after him. And now you got Niang, Maxey, Milton coming off the bench. They don't play House anymore or Montrez, but and then they added Dedmon. I don't understand that move with Harrell in there, but I think the bench is now not necessarily a weakness. It's not a weakness. We'll put that way. I don't want to call it strength, but it's not a weakness. Maxey makes it a strength, but Maxey really is a bench player.
No, but it kind of is the perfect scenario for you right now. I mean, he really is the 6th starter. Like it's, like we said, we have Melton in there for versatility at this point before his defensive prowess, and I think it's needed. When you got Harden out there, and Harris is getting better at defense, but Tucker actually had a good game.
He did
offensively tonight. That was nice to see. But
I actually want him to shoot 5 shots a game tonight. I don't need a guy that will touch the ball and has no threat of doing anything.
It needs to exactly. That's what was going on with Matisse. That's what it was. And if Tucker's making a couple threes a game, he's putting more pressure on the defense to, which opens up the lanes more for Harden and Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
And, I saw something crazy about Harden's stats last year versus this year. Points are about the same. Assists are about the same. Rebounds are about the same. But his field goal percentages are up like 5 points.
Yep.
I think 5 points for all field goals, 6 points in 3-point. It's really great to see that he's come back around. Yep. I really think he took good care of himself this summer, and he's putting some more work in. There's still some deficiencies in his game, of course, but he's got more burst, he's got more lift, and he's just more efficient. His
shot just looks better. It's got
art. Scoring, right. Yeah. He's scoring on less shots taken.
Yep.
That's what those stats read to me. So
yep, I agree. And now I'm looking at the MVP odds right now. Joel Embiid has moved up to 2nd in the league. He's still a heavy underdog to Jokic. Yeah. He's plus 380, where Jokic is minus 170. But I'm looking back to, it looks like early October, I put it play in for him at plus 1,300, 13-1 then. So he's definitely paved his way, moved way up.
Yeah.
I got to say this. I mean, look, at this point, Denver is 40-18. Great. Don't take anything away from them. But we're 38-19. We're about a game and a half behind them. We beat them
Yeah.
head to head. I still think there's some time for those of you that want to get into that MVP market. I feel like Embiid is really a strong candidate right now. And again, in the game tonight, they needed to have it. He was solid down the stretch. Ended up going 29-14, which was good, but I like the 5 assists. When I see 5 assists, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, that the thing is with him, we don't even really flinch at 29 anymore. We really
No,
don't. It's
no.
crazy. 29-14 is a normal night. It's nothing
Well,
extraordinary.
what do you have? 18 straight games of 25 or more that got broke
Yeah.
on Monday night, only because Monday night
Like
he didn't play a
three-quarters.
minute. Yeah, he didn't
Right.
play a minute in the fourth quarter against Houston.
Right.
So, but then he was back at it again tonight, and it's steady as she comes. Before that, the last time he was under 25, you have to go all the way back to December 21st against Detroit, and that was a blowout too. So if it's a game that matters, he's getting 30 or 20.
Also,
Yeah.
yeah, he only had I thought it was he only had 2 turnovers. I thought it was 3. He only had 2 turnovers. So 5 assists, 2 turnovers. I'll take that every single night from Joel Embiid.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, as we focus our let me add this one thing. Great game last night between Milwaukee and Boston. Boston was without Tatum, Brown, Horford, a lot of pieces, and should have won that game. Went up 5 in overtime, but Drew Holiday took over and dropped, I think, 41 or 42. It just goes to show you the depth that Boston has is probably why they're the team to beat. I mean, yes, they have the star power in Tatum and Brown, but they can shoot from every angle. Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, they're using this kid Hauser. Now they got Mike Muscala in a trade deadline deal who's hit from the center position. So they're tough. Milwaukee, obviously, now 11 wins in a row. They're really playing good basketball, and they're going to bring in a big piece, in Jay Crowder. I think he's going to really add some pop to that team. Where do you think the Sixers, now we're sitting here game and a half behind the 2 spot, and I think it's 2 behind the 1 spot. Where do you think they land? Now we're looking at the All-Star break, 38-19. Do you think they're 3-1 out? So, but do you think they're in good position to really make a move, or do you think they kind of, steady out and end up in 3, or do you even think they drop?
No, I think they steady out and stay in 3. I mean, I think it's a lot. Like, it's not really a lot to overcome, but I think just the inconsistency play, they would really have to go on a real hot streak, like really take care of business. I mean, they got to get the head-to-head wins against those teams, I think, to move up. I don't fear that they'll drop. I think they've established who they are, and right now they are that 3 team. I just think they need to build momentum going into the playoffs, and then we could hope for an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. That would be where my head is at least now, and see what happens from them. But I think they stay the course at this point.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty good. 4 games in the loss column up from the Cavs, who are in 4th. I think that's a pretty big deficit to overcome now. Over a stretch of 25 games you got left. So the Cavs would have to be, and I'm trying to remember if I remember them playing them earlier in the season, and the Cavs blew us out there. I don't know if they played. Oh, and then the Sixers 1-1 there. I think this was a regular season game. It was. So I think the Sixers have won the regular season series with them. Yeah, they have. So, I mean, they're really like 5 games back, really, in the loss column, if you look at it that way. So, yeah, and I think it's a long stretch to even 2 games behind either Milwaukee or Boston in the loss column. I think is a lot to overcome from those
It really is.
that rarely lose. And the Sixers have actually, when you look at it, I think like the 5th hardest schedule on the way in, too. A lot of good teams still lined up on this schedule. So, yeah, I think 3 is where they land, and I think it's probably a team like Milwaukee they would see in the second round. And look, we've been waiting for the Giannis Embiid playoff matchup. Let's get one this year. It's a team I fully respect, I fully get, but I'd rather play them than Boston. I just would. I just think they're a team that doesn't play good defense, and I think it's a team the Sixers match up okay against.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, it seems like they've gotten into so many battles over the years between Embiid and Giannis, and the teams really embody it. Really, and a lot of the games that the Bucks have won is really just Giannis willing the Bucks in those wins over the Sixers. Like
Yep.
like I remember it was a couple years ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, the Sixers were up big on them halftime, and I think Giannis might have had 0 points going into halftime, and then he had 32 between the second half and overtime, and they came back and they just barely beat the Sixers. So, the team is relatively the same for the Bucks. Drew Holiday's been playing well as of late, but yeah, I definitely agree. Like they're a team that is not the most efficient rebounders. I feel like Boston's a better rebounding team. I just feel like it all hangs on Giannis on
Yep.
how.
And we got 2 games against the Bucks the rest of the way, 2 games against the Celtics, and it really will hinge around that. And then I'm telling you, having PJ Tucker in there right now, I think could be a really good addition for giving Giannis a little bit of some
Right.
problems. I mean, he was they played us once this year, beat us 90-88, and it was a really bad loss for us at the time, but we got time. We got time to rebound and really focus on the way ahead. And as we focus on the way ahead, when new seasons arise and bring hope and the eternal optimism that's what we got with Major League Baseball. Right around this time of year, always around that Valentine's Day mark, we start to see pitchers and catchers report. And that's no different this year in 2023. And there's a big buzz around the Philadelphia Phillies this year as they brought in a bunch of free agent additions, as well as some trades. Bringing in Trey Turner, the biggest prize in MLB free agency, was a great move. I mean, you could say Aaron Judge, but he resigned with his own team and wasn't a fit for this with our outfield. But it's Trey Turner, and he dons a pinstripe jersey of red and white going into this season, which is exciting for us as we also transition to some pitching, bringing in Taijuan Walker and 3 big arms in the bullpen with Craig Kimbrell, Gregory Soto, and then the other big free agent signing, Matt Strom. So fireballers, I don't even care if 2 of them are good. Just give me 1 of them, and I feel like that's a win because relievers are so, finicky and volatile. But, a lot of big additions for the Phillies, and the subtractions are notable, but they're not ones that we were too surprised with. Segura going to Miami, Eflin as well, going down, I think, Tampa, Vierling getting traded as part of the deal. David Robertson up with New York. Syndergaard, go ahead. You can get out of here. So a lot of big moves. And I think in the end, this Phillies team is a lot better off than the team that ended the year losing in 6 games to the Houston Astros. I think this is a really, really good Philadelphia Phillies team. One of the better ones we've seen since about the 2009 era.
I would say so. I mean, you look at it, they addressed the issue they needed to address the most. Like, the starting pitching in the World Series was pretty good for both teams, but they clearly had the upper hand when it came to the bullpen. So how they lose because of they upgraded. They went big time, and they really didn't have to lose arms in the bullpen. But like you said, besides Eflin, who literally just got thrown into the bullpen at the end of the year, coming off of a knee injury, they gave him a shot. And he ends up getting 3 years, $40 million, and that might be like the biggest free agent deal that Tampa has ever given out. But with that being said, you look at who they brought in and what they did. I mean, they have now like 5 legit arms, and like you said, if 3 of them pan out in total between Sir Anthony, Alvarado, Strumpf, Soto, Kimbrel. I'm trying to think. You still have Brogdon. Like you have arms. You have plenty of arms.
For Anthony, like you said, I mean,
so all you need is 2 or 3 of those guys to really pan out for you. And Soto is supposed to be the guy. Like, everybody knows the name Kimbrel, but Kimbrel is on. He's think his prime, but it's a shot. It's worth a shot. I think you absolutely take it. Because you never know. He could find his mojo and get things going. But Soto is the guy that, he could really do some things for us. I mean, to have if we get Sir Anthony, Alvarado, and Soto, the 3 of them, it could be lights out. And we could be attacking the door. And with the offense that we potentially have coming this year. And the funny thing is, Phillies aren't even in top 5 in power rankings. They're, they're being overlooked. And you know what? It's annoying, but I love it too.
I love it.
Because yes, when you look at their regular season, did they have a great regular season? No, but remember the first half they were slop, because they were playing under Girardi and they were just unmotivated. They made changes. Thompson came in, changed this thing up. This is a totally different team, and the fact that they're being overlooked is really bad news for the rest of the MLB. Bad
I
news.
think I think it's great. I mean, as far as the bullpen goes, you hit it on the head. When going into the playoffs last year, people said the Phillies can't win because they don't have a bullpen. Well, they ended up having one, but now they even have a better one, and they have fixed the biggest error. And then let's also focus on one other point that I think will be so key and so vital to this team's success this year, and that's the starting pitching. Now you have Wheeler. Now you have Nola. Kind of on the last year. I think there's an RB year left, maybe after this, and then you got Suarez, who we're very confident in, and Taijuan Walker coming in is going to be nice in the 4 spot. I mean, do I think it's a little much money for a 30-year-old? Maybe, but it's not my money. Who cares? We need some stability there. And then lastly, I really, truly believe Andrew Painter is going to be a factor for this team. A young kid, 20 years old, coming up, number 1 pick in the 2021 draft, just absolutely lit ablaze the minor leagues last year. 155 Ks in 100 innings. He's 6'7", 215 pounds. I mean, if you're a Phillies fan, you know about him. I'm just repeating stuff that you already know about. But the things we know, and what I love is this isn't your old Phillies. This isn't wait till Ryan Howard's 25 and has 4 great years in the minors. This isn't wait till Cole Hamels is 23, bring him up. Right. This is let's roll out the red carpet now and give him every chance to succeed in spring training and win that 5th spot in the rotation. I think he's going to do it. And that's going to now the tricky part will be, 155 innings last year, pretty good. So you're going to probably have to manage him in the 170, 180 era, which isn't a full slate of games. So do you reel him back early, reel him back late? You're going to have to figure out. But the good news is he threw up until about September last year. So we just got to stretch him out a couple more months and really be careful. But I think he's a huge key to this team.
He is. He was ranked the number 1 pitching prospect for right-handers. I think he's 6 overall in the MLB top 100, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that.
Yeah.
And I know Micah Bell was in top 10 of pitchers. I think that. So that's another one too. If he really gets things going, if he gets on this Andrew Painter train, because they're treating him not too far behind Andrew Painter, if they really need to go down to the well, I mean, he's a guy that worst come to worst, you have him up here in the majors next year, and you have Painter. And if if you do have to move away from Nola, you have, your rotation is still solidified. Seeing what happens. So yeah, I mean the fact that they have the back end and they have a couple young arms in the wings that could be close. Painter's up here by June at the latest. I mean, I don't see any reason why he's not. I would like for him to be opening day. I know I would.
That's the beauty of Dombrowski. It's not like
it's Dombrowski who.
Yeah, he's not like I gotta wait for this 7-year rule. Like I don't care.
He's a win now. He's a win now guy. He's a win now guy.
And it should be. And the point you made about Nola is true. I don't think he's back here in a year or two. And that's what this bridge is of the Painter and the Bells and what's the other guy, McGarry or
McGarry.
Yeah, so I think there's some realism here. Like, listen, like it or not, I mean, they've put a lot of money into everything in this team. I don't think a lot of big contracts are coming after this, unless they're able to kind of maneuver some guys. But so Nola's one that's probably out. But now maybe if Reese goes, that you could use that money to go with Nola. So we'll see. But the Astros lost Garrett Cole. I mean, one of the best pitchers in baseball, and they still win a World Series. You can find ways because they built it from the bottom up at times too. And you saw those guys last year, and Framber Valdez and such really dominating in situations. Those are homegrown young talents. So Phillies are doing it right, bringing these guys up. And if they can bring them up and be factors on the major league team this year, I think that's going to be a huge boat for where they go. Now, let me ask you this. I know we'll get into season-long predictions. I know we'll get into, that down the road here. But as we look into spring training, what's the thing you want to see or you're going to keep your eye on? I mean, spring training is what it is. I get it. But there's definitely going to be a buzz around this team. People are going to be looking at things. What are you looking for?
I want to see the continuity between, and I think it's gonna be just fine. But the continuity between Bryson Stott and Trey Turner, and I want to see the advancement of Bryson Stott with a guy like Trey Turner next to him. Like him and Gene, they had a good rapport, but Gene is not always the perfect teammate or what have you. Like, I really think that Trey Turner has the chance to elevate Bryson Stott's game to reach the potential of that top 10 pick that Bryson Stott was a couple years ago. Like Bryson Stott, I get it. Coming into the league as a shortstop is not easy. We saw, and now he's going to move to second base, which I think is probably for the better. I really think he's going to be more of that Chase Utley type. We have the opportunity to see his offense develop. And that's what I'm really excited for in regards to him. I think he's going to have less pressure on him. We've talked about this years ago. I remember me, you, and Drumheller when we were talking about the pressure that was on Scott Kingery, having to play multiple positions. I think Stott's going to be nice and comfortable. He's going to be next to a seasoned vet like Trey Turner. Also, the other player that I'm looking to see take a step forward, and this is going to be at the plate, is Brandon Marsh. Full year with Kevin Long in the system, comfortable, making Philly his home. That's going to be so I'm banking on two young players to really come up big moving forward this year. I think they're going to take big steps forward.
Yeah, good points. I think, and earlier I said that Painter was 20, he's 19, but still, I think, he'll be 20 at some point this year. But one of the things I'm looking at, and I really am excited for, is what are they going to do at DH with Harper out through probably July, the All-Star break? Where are they going to find the guys that they want to put in DH, and what is that they're going to put in there? You got Derek Hall, who was a big addition last year, can't play the field, so good at DH, but a bomber, right? Or do you want to kind of mix it up and go with a Dalton Guthrie, who came on late in the season last year and was speedy, and you can use some speed in the lineup? Or, they brought in Jake Cave, from, I think he was out in Tampa, but you still got Edmund Sosa. Josh Harrison was a recent free agent signing. He recently played with the Rangers. So I'm going to be very interested to see what those battles are and how they plug that DH in and where they plug it in that lineup. And then secondly, I'm really interested to see where Rhys Hoskins bats. He ain't a two-hole hitter. And we have that reserve for probably, I got to believe, Trey Turner goes in two. Now, would you like him at one? Yeah, but I think Schwarber was so effective at one. And they played together in Washington where Schwarber, I think that was just a quick minute. But didn't they win the World Series together in Washington before they traded him away? Yeah. And then he played in Boston the year after, and that's when Trey Turner got traded. I think he batted number one for most of the time. So I'm going to be interested to see what they do, where Rhys goes, and how they do that 1-2 position as well.
Yeah. I think that's going to be interesting moving forward, seeing how that all shakes out. And then the other one too is Castellanos. Does he have a bounce back year? Which I think, I've been saying it all year. Even in May, I was like, I hope I'm right. I equate it to Francisco Lindor getting to the Mets. He was terrible in his first year there after signing a massive deal. Adjusted. He had a much better year this year. See if Castellanos does the same.
I like it. I think that's a great pick. All right, buddy. That pretty much wraps up our show here. This was a little cathartic to me, so I appreciate the ability to talk a little bit about one of the tougher losses in our recent memory, but one that also gives us some optimism and hope going forward here that, Chiefs lost the Super Bowl II recently, and there are lessons learned from these things. And I hope the future, which I believe it is even brighter than I think it is going forward here. So this felt good. I hope it felt good for you.
I'm getting there, trying.
Yeah. No, it's all going to take us some time, but a lot of things in Philadelphia are on the up and up, which really helps. The Sixers playing well. Phillies have a really good future ahead, and We'll get there on the Flyers at some point.
Yes.
But with that, we are Fourth and Go here on the Heat Ratio Sports Network. I'm Dave Gluckner. That's Marc Tomasini. Give us a follow. Give us a like on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're watching this through, YouTube as well. Just hit that click it. Click the like, like the YouTubers say, smash that like button. But whatever you can do for us to help out and grow this brand and grow this product so we can give you more and more each week. We really appreciate it. Again, I'm Dave Gluckner at DGleck on Twitter. That's Marc Tomasini at Philly Sports Source, right?
Yes, that's correct.
On Twitter. Until next week, it was a winning Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back for more next week. Later.